at 5:37 p.m. Roll call.
Alderman Madden.
Here.
Alderman Kubaki.
Here.
Alderman Engelhardt.
Here.
Alderman Kapusta.
Here.
Alderman Borgman.
Here.
Alderman Hamel.
Here.
Alderman Wolf.
Here.
And Mayor Shavarati.
Here.
We have a quorum present.
Statement of public notice.
This meeting was noticed in accordance with the open meeting law.
Approval of the June 12, 2018, August 28, 2018, and September 11, 2018 minutes.
Move to approve.
Did we get a second on that?
Second.
Thank you.
And who was the first? I'm sorry.
Eileen.
Alderman Madden. Okay.
Any discussion on those minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? They're approved. New business, as always, I'm going to read the budget memo, my memo, into the record. But real quick, you had asked, and Brittany provided the information regarding the library capital furniture, that they did receive the state pricing. So just wanted you to get that info. And with that, this is the mayor's proposed 2019 budget. I'll begin with summary comments. Each budget is built upon council-defined budget goals with desired outcomes, and the 2019 proposed budget is consistent with that measure. This team approach process has proven to be fundamental for long-term success. Based on the agreed-upon comprehensive goals of the Committee of the Whole, the balanced budget is prepared by the department heads and I, is proposed to maintain a low mill rate or tax rate while keeping within the mandated net new growth levy increase. A council goal for consideration but not addressed in the proposed budget is equity between the lake districts. You can see the attached complete summary budget guide. The budget reflects $50,000, the same as 2018 budget, for contribution to the Little Muskego Lake District. Equity and consistency for lake districts and taxpayers would constitute approximately $10,640 in this matter in lieu of $50,000, which is consistent with the per parcel fee implemented by each lake district. Following are the 2019 comprehensive budget goals as approved by the Committee of the Whole. Apply net new growth as allowed per the state levy limit, maintain high bond rating, limit one-time funding sources, avoid depletion of special revenue funds, support economic drivers including TID creations and incentives, strengthen efficiencies through implemented and measurable shared services, recognize and respect the expertise of incumbent employees through competitive pay increases and benefit packages, abide by the general operation fund balance policy, and again, the budget goal setting is a collaboration between the Committee of the Whole, Mayor, and staff. The significant changes from 2018 to 2019 in the revenues. The proposed 2019 general fund revenue budget reflects a tax levy increase of $200,000 or 1.585% as compared to 2018 adjustment that was $205,000 and is within the state levy limit. Increased revenue is derived from new growth, improved property market assessed values, and interest earnings. The additional funds will be utilized to offset expenditure increase for the volunteer fire service, a new public safety dispatcher, employee pay scale adjustments and merit increases, and capital outlay equipment purchases. Also to be noted is the estimate for transportation aids has not yet been provided and is subject to change for this year as well as future years. Expenditures. The proposed 2019 general fund expenditure budget is in balance with the proposed revenue budget, resulting in a 1.77 increase over 2018. An increased expenditure of $33,000 is included for the contracted fire service as approved by the Common Council. In addition, $69,000 is allocated for police and public works vehicle replacements. In support of the goal to recognize and respect the expertise of incumbent employees, this budget reflects the Committee of the Whole recommended pay scale adjustments based on the completed salary study. Also included is a 2.5% merit pay increase, which is based on lower end average survey results, along with a $750 lump sum payment on January 1st, 2019, and with a 1% pay rate increase on July 1, 2019 for the represented police personnel as determined per the union negotiated contract. Personnel costs are included Also include a proposed dispatch position with an effective start date of July 1st, 2019. Furthermore, overall staffing costs are comprised of employee benefits which fluctuate considerably from year to year. Taxes. Recent state levy limit mandates include a new reduction to the allowable increase for personal property aid in the amount of $49,802. Although the state requirement to hold the City of Muskego tax levy increase to the net new growth is 2.05%, the actual allowable levy increase has been reduced to 1.65% due to the personal property and aid adjustment. Of this total, only 1.585% of new growth is being utilized per the budget goals, resulting in an estimated city tax rate of $4.50 and amounts to a marginal increase of 9 cents as compared to the 2018 rate. Like previous adopted budgets, this proposed budget stays within the state imposed levy limit and does not utilize any allowable unused prior year's levy capacity while enhancing services for the growing community that are important to the citizens and achieves the council goals. There's also no utilization of prior year's surplus funds. I will not read the remainder because that's just the budget process that you should all be aware of. So as always, this meeting, as we put it there, if there are some department heads, or if they're here and you have questions, otherwise we can have a department head come back if there's something specific, or any other questions, you can reach out to them between now and the next meeting, but I open it up if there is something specific you wish to discuss tonight.
I guess I have some comments. First of all, transportation aid should come in pretty good this year. It's election year. So we should be in pretty good shape there. Our expenditures increased by 1.47 million. $1.2 million of that is debt service, which is going to continue, and it's going to rise to 2020 to 5.1 million. So we've got to keep that in the back of our minds that we've got another $1 million to deal with 2 years from now. So the net increase after the debt service is about $280,000. I'm looking at page 33, which is a chart of general fund personnel expenses. Our personnel expenses this year went up $284,000. They went up $274, I believe, last year, but that was pretty much the police department. This year, our personnel expenses, again, went up $284,000. 112 of that is public safety. 117 is in public works. We've had one full-time equivalency hired, and that's been in the police department for a dispatcher. Yet our public works budget has grown, I consider, significantly at $117,000. To me, personnel expenses is a fixed expense and something that just keep compounding throughout the years, and something that we just got to keep in the back of our minds that it's a snowball that keeps rolling down the same hill. So just again, some observations and I guess some concerns about future budgets. Any idea, Scott, why that seems to fall in your bailiwick?
Well, maybe before you answer that, you also have 16,000 more in rec, and didn't we kind of combine the two departments together to reduce spending?
Could probably come up here.
I think Sharon can probably address it. You better use the microphone.
Yeah.
Hello?
Okay. Yeah.
First off, you have to keep in mind health insurance fluctuates significantly in these totals, so it's wages and benefits. So when you see a rise,
You're humming there pretty good.
I can't. Is it ringing?
Yeah, I don't know if you have to go to the left or the right, or
Can you stand outside?
So, if somebody switches from an allowance to a family, or if you have a new hire that's taking health insurance and the employee who retired or resigned did not take the health insurance, that's going to be a 20-some thousand dollar adjustment immediately. And for the recreation department, there are programs and instructors that fluctuate from year to year depending on the programs. So that could have an influence on those wages and benefits.
And we get revenue for those to
Correct.
cover their expense,
Yes.
those seasonals.
So you're saying most of that 117,000 is based on new insurance?
It could be, I mean, I could certainly run an analysis on that, but there are also the rate increases and promotions in that department, because we did have a handful of those.
Because I know I looked at the individual salaries, not individual person salaries, but in the categories, and again, it all seemed to be in the public works
Well, there
area.
was a new highway, was that last year? Yeah, so that's,
But you also lost one person last year, too.
They added one.
right.
Okay?
That's a full-time employee.
Because I thought we had only 2 FTEs last year, new ones.
No, no, there were 3, how many police? There were, yes, 3.
Two
Two
police
Police,
and
we
one
had a detective and we had a
DPW.
patrol officer. And that's, I thought that was the only increase in our FTEs from last year. And this year, we only increased 1 by a dispatcher.
Right.
Wouldn't that be under public works?
Okay.
And they had a small increase in their seasonal staff as well. The other thing to note is the numbers you're looking at are strictly the general fund totals. They don't include all the funds. So if there's a fluctuation, let's say there's less leaf pickup that goes to a special revenue fund, those dollars are going to shift over to the general fund because we base it off of a 5-year average history, if that makes sense.
Well, I know it breaks down snow removal.
Right.
And that type of,
Right.
and I know
But-
those will fluctuate.
And those
yeah.
are general fund operating expenses that are funded by tax levy dollars. However, there are several wages in public works that shift over to the refuse recycling fund. It's a special revenue fund, so if you turn the pages into that section, you'll see wages and benefits, and that may have gone down, and therefore the operating costs will go up. You following me?
Yeah, but I'm looking at the overall.
But
The
that
overall
could
picture-
adjust it. That's not what the chart you're looking at is strictly Fund 100, which is funded by tax dollars only. It is not funded by landfill funds.
Okay.
Okay, so really you need to look at all the wages across the board, which and the mayor actually and I just met today, and she said, why are they less? She said, why are they less overall, but in total, in the general operating fund, they're higher? And I told her because there was a shifting of employees from the special revenue funds into the general fund. So they
But that makes it
they're in
very difficult for
stormwater,
us to really
refuse-
look at this budget, though. I mean, we can't really look at personnel expenses then.
Well, I can run you a separate report, but really the council always has focused on what's supported by tax levy dollars, and the shift into the other funds is very insignificant. We're talking maybe $20,000 over a $15 million budget. But I have those totals. I mean, actually I have it right in front of me. The grand total for all funds combined, benefits and salary, $250,000. So it's actually less than because there was a movement.
Less than what? I didn't hear you.
The 283,000 that Alderman Kubaki was looking at in the graph. Because in the other funds, the health insurance may have gone down. We have the conservation coordinator who was budgeted in the conservation fund is now fully funded under operations, which you agreed to 4 years ago. So it shifts, but the grand total is $250,000 of wages and benefits. That is the grand total increase.
Okay, so the other 30 or so thousand
That's
came out of?
everything.
Okay.
That's every wage and benefit, including clothing allowance, glass, for eyeglasses, everything.
Okay.
Even our compensated absences for when employees retire out of that 200, Fund 270 in the special revenue, it includes everything. Our HRA for the wellness program, that's included in there as well.
And that 250,
250,000.
that's all inclusive?
That's everything. The increases, everything, yes.
But not health insurance increases as well?
Everything.
Everything.
Actually, our health insurance went down, even though our premium went up. The health insurance went down because there was a significant transition from employees who are taking the health insurance to the allowance. So the allowance went up by about $7,700, but the total insurance went down $70,000 from budget year to budget year. Because many more employees are taking the allowance. We have new hires, and they have chosen to take the allowance.
It'd be really helpful to have those numbers broken down,
Okay,
because it gets frightening when you look at some of this stuff and you start to, if you're only not seeing the whole picture.
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And I can give you my cheat sheet if you, that might help you, actually.
For the next meeting, or, oh,
I'll let him, if
Go
he
ahead.
wants to take a look at it.
Oh, thank you.
So the moral here is that by combining these departments, it would have went up higher than what you're saying? Did we reduce, we put these two departments together to reduce spending?
We still in total are reducing, but we have a lot of increases. The non-personnel expenses, as the mayor noted, our fire department went up by 33,000. We have capital outlay of 69,000. We have $17,000 of network and computer charges. We have about $15,000 of engineering services and public work operating supplies. So those are all non-personnel, which total about $134,000 of additional expense. And so basically, we're funding those expenses by the increase in the levy, and the salary and benefit increase we're funding because our contingency went down, which you questioned earlier.
Okay.
We had 230,000 last year. We're down to 80,000, which is per our resolution, 0.5% of expenses.
So Kevin, you started off with talking about the future. Is there something we should be concerned with, as you brought up?
sure.
I mean, are we looking to,
Well, I mean,
anything
when
we
you
should be
look at
looking
the
at?
whole total expenses, they're $275,000 over the prior year, which is less than last year. So, the non-personnel, by contract, we have to go up for the fire department. We need the computer charges and capital outlay.
And the police department's always going to be out there because
Right.
they're
Right.
covered in.
So there's nothing alarming showing that
No.
you see?
No, and actually, the mayor she wanted me to check on tax rates, comparable tax rates, which if you flip the page, Alderman Kubacki, you can see, I grabbed some.
The last
local-
one,
yeah,
67.
What
New
page you on?
Berlin.
67, the last one, right?
was that?
You talked about page 67?
Well,
The
Yeah,
last
that
page?
too. You can
Oh.
look at our past history, and you can see 5 years back, we're still significantly less than where we were. So we're at 4.5, and
The values of homes have gone up to offset that.
4.91 5 years ago. But I
good
also
thing.
looked at other communities, and they average about $5.50, and I looked at 1, 2, 3, about 10 of them.
And most of those probably have full-time fire departments.
They could, they
Yeah.
might.
And I think our estimating of the property values have gone up here pretty decent too, to offset some of that, so.
Speaking of property values, of the change in our values, how much of that was due to new construction and how much for the reval?
Well, our eval was last year, so that
Yeah,
would be included.
that wasn't
in
part
this
of
one.
It wouldn't be reflected in these,
No.
this year's
No.
figures?
No.
Okay. So that, essentially, that was all $36 million in new construction?
Net new growth, yep.
Wow,
Plus those TIFs when they start coming back in.
yep.
Yeah, if you look at page 66, you can see, because of the increase in TIDs, down at the very bottom on the left, you'll see TID dollars to be raised. 2018, it was 321,000, and now 548,000 is being allocated to the TIDs. That's up significantly.
Okay.
Nice. Need a few more years like that and higher. Well, I have to say thanks, Sharon, for being on top of this and knowing
Nice job.
how to explain it.
Thank you, thank you. And if anybody wants my cheat sheet, I can make copies.
And Scott thanks you because he didn't have to speak.
You're welcome.
Well, I knew she could explain it in more detail.
Thanks, Sharon.
So any other questions?
What you're proposed, we just got to see what the transportation comes in. That's what's the line,
I
something
can't,
like they
can't
said.
even find what I'm trying to find.
Okay, this will be back on for the next agenda then. So I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
I'm
Opposed? We are